This is going to be a little bit different video. I want to talk to you about the Glenn problem. Is there a Glenn problem? Glenn, if you're not aware, is very interactive. And look, I enamor you to stay till the end of this video. I don't think you're going to know what my opinion is, regardless of what I say throughout the video. So comment below what your thoughts are. Glenn is well, it says right here, principal game designer at Second Dinner. Glenn's resume has been, from what I can see, pretty fantastic as far as card games go. A lot of experience playing, a lot of experience designing, etc. If you have not seen Glenn anywhere, you are not paying attention to what's happening in Marvel Snap. He's either on Twitter, Discord. As far as game designers, developers go, God, I hate doing this. I've been around the block a little bit, right? So I've done content on a number of different games. I come from a game called Marvel Strike Force, which was really the first game I ever did content for. I did content for a game called Marvel Future Revolution. In both of those experiences, I got to work closely with people in the company. In Strike Force, I was really just in the developer, in the creators program. I can't say I was one of the tight-knit people. Those were like the mobile gamers, valleys, stuff like that. In Marvel Future Revolution, I did get a chance to work really close with the developers a bit, specifically some people behind Marvel Games. That was a really good experience. The game trashed and tanked and all that sort of thing. But anyway, the point is I've got to see and experience what some of these developers and game designers are like. I even had a friend who worked with the folks behind Marvel Strike Force, like a personal friend. So I get to see some of that thing, and I get a feel for how hard these people's jobs are, how easy these people's jobs are, what might work, what might not work, people criticizing them, people praising them, etc. So Glenn is one of the people that I've seen who sticks out at Second Dinner. If you're going to talk about two names at Second Dinner, you're going to think of first, Ben Brode and Glenn Jones. There are other people there, obviously. Anybody else there, as far, like, I mean, look, they're all important, they're all critical, but those are the names that stick out. If you just ask a common lay person, if you just ask like a person out on social media, etc., those are going to be the two names that come out from them as far as who do you know works at Second Dinner. And I think that's because of how they engage. Obviously, Ben being one of the bigger names, just, you know, loud voice, personable, funny, I don't know. Anyway, he's got a good persona and he does a good job with the videos. So Glenn is in charge of designing. Now, Glenn in the past has posted some things that people were like, why is he posting so much? He's too interactive. And that's something that I want to talk about for a second first is I personally appreciate those posts. Whether he steps in something, puts his foot in his mouth, whatever, I like them. I think Glenn, it seems to me, I know, and look, I don't know Glenn from the person, you know, across the country that I've never met before. No interaction with him. A little bit on Discord and Twitter, but I'm not someone I think he'd even know who I am or even like me per se. But I like that the fact that he engages with the community, mainly because he owns his shit. If Glenn steps in something, he says, this is what I thought, this is why I think it, this is the right decision. And then later, if something happens, it seems to me that he'll go, yeah, I thought this, I stepped in some shit, I've changed my mind, we need to readjust, and this is why we did it. So in far as that goes, I don't look at that or those sort of interactions as like a Glenn problem. Okay, I just think that that's good. Now, you might disagree with me there and thinking that's good because there's too many voices in the community, all that sort of thing. And look, yeah, that's true, there might be, but I've also dealt with the situation where there's been one voice and that voice is always quiet, where I need to talk with someone before I say anything. I can't say anything unless it's been scripted by 4 political scientists and every sort of HR person before I let it out. And it basically reads as legalese nonsense. And there's little words that most people might not catch that's an out for something. The reason I say most people is because it's that legalese. If you're not used to seeing legal terminology, I used to review contracts for a living, and those terminologies give people outs. Just the littlest word, just the littlest thing can get an out. So I actually like that, right? And so now the question is all right, the Glenn problem as far as designing goes. Now, do we have a problem or not? Now, the big thing that we've talked about recently has been Mobius. Now, we had a game update. Okay, we had our recent OTAs. Now, I'm not going to dive deep into Mobius, But there is a big, long narrative here about what happened with Mobius and some of the things lately. And I'm not going to read this word for word, but what I will say is the in-depth thought, everything in this is something I've never seen before. And one of the things I want to draw your attention to is, let's see where it is. It's not our intent to change new cards often. Unfortunately, we had a variety of issues that basically why this happened. And they go through these. Okay, they list these basically 4 things for why this happened. And the part I like to draw your attention to is this part. These aren't excuses. We just want you to know we're investigating our process and taking steps to improve. And then it lists some changes they've made. All right, now none of us are going to know specifically if the things above are definitely good reasons for why it happened, or the reasons right here that I've highlighted that are going to fix the problem. But what I can address and what we should be able to address is the fact that they said it's not in their intent. It is not our intent to change new cards this often. And this is the reasons why. And now there's a story down here that we're going to go into a little bit that I do want to draw your attention to. So I like this. This is owning some shit. Okay, this is getting into your stuff. Sorry if the curse words, if you got a kid watching this, like I said, I apologize. You can, I don't know. That's it. I'm just going to apologize to you. But that's what it is. Your kids need to learn. Well, I'm not going to tell you how to parent. I take that back. In my opinion, my kids need to learn how to own their shit and then deal with it. So that's how I do with my kids. And that's how I'm going to preach. Okay. You take whatever you want. It's up to you. I don't care. Yeah, I care, but I don't care. Because I don't care what your choice is. I just care about you and what I want to share with you. Anyway, off of that soapbox. So they've made these excuses, not excuses of why this has happened. And unusually unexpected short development cycles, multiple complex cards, playtesting concurrent seasons, internal metagame driving from live. And they want to fix it. They're going to season design starts 4 weeks earlier. Season pass cards receive double their previous playtesting. I love it. And for somebody who's like, why haven't they figured this out? This thing, that thing. 2 hours of something going live will beat any playtesting they will ever do. Now, I will say though, with the Mobius thing, Mobius was a little different. You could see that card and go, that's going to be very strong. Now, one of the things that they addressed out in here is basically a huge section on Mobius. Okay. Now they go through here talking about patches and OTAs and just the philosophy behind them. I'm not going to necessarily talk about that, but the Mobius problem. While they thought, let's see. So the 1031 did include a big nerf. And by the way, they have timelines in here. So they go through the steps of, at this point in time, Mobius launched on 9/26. And then basically to lock in for the next patch to make, because what happened was they released Mobius. It made an effect on the early game that they didn't expect. And so they were in a situation where it was like, we have this card and it is causing a problem we didn't anticipate for early game players. Fine. You know, that I could see something like that happening. And they go, all right, we have a small window to make a decision on changing this card to get it locked in for something that's going to happen in a month. But if we miss this window, we will not be able to make this change. And therefore it could screw players over for that entire month. That is a difficult decision to make because you're like, what if we don't need to do this? We haven't had a lot of time. And they talk about that here. Now, Monday morning quarterbacking, if I was in that room, I would have said, guys, I hear everybody, guys and girls, I hear everything that you're saying. But why don't we not fundamentally change this card, but instead let's OTA this. Because in my opinion, for Mobius specifically, you could have seen very quick before release, in my opinion, you could have been like, and I think I said in some of my videos, I'd play Mobius as a 2-0. I'd play him as a 2-1. Like the card was that good. So to me, I would have looked at it and gone, yes, it's ruining these things. Let's dramatically hurt the power of this card. Let's just take it down and go from there and see what happens. Like, yes, it's a quick OTA change. That's going to be frustrating to people. I think it was before the gold offer though. So I think that would have sat better with a little bit. And they go in here and talk where they're like, they don't make decisions based on offers in game, which look, we don't know if that's true or not true, but I'm going to take them at their word, and I believe it, because I've seen some other things in the game where I feel like they could do a lot more than what they're doing to sell stuff and buff it and nerf things after. It's nowhere near what I'd call scummy, scammy type of people who are trying to just make a buck off a quick change, or, you know, sell you a bill of goods and then change it later. So that was the scenario they fell into. Now, this is the part that I want to draw attention to. This was carelessly, first, and I actually disagree with them here. So they talked about this section here where they said in their, I think it was the last patch, while we were eager to see the world Mobius would create, we expected to make an adjustment down the road in order to welcome cost reduction strategies back into the sunlight. We are also interested to hear your feedback on our approach here, using a new card as a tool to create a new play environment. Their comment after that, and this is the part I disagree with, this was carelessly written. Well, I'm not going to say that the carelessly written part I disagree with because I have no idea, and fails to convey their intent, which was that we knew we needed to protect viable cost reduction strategies in Snap if it turned out Mobius was too much. On that count, we'll just apologize and expressly say that we don't launch cards with a nerf plan after a period of time passes. Again, we don't know if that's true or not. And 2, we don't nerf cards based on upcoming bubbles. Again, we don't know if that's true or not, but I'm going to take it at their word. They also say, to be clear, we will launch cards we think we might need to nerf because game balance is imprecise. We'd rather do that than launch cards we believe will need a buff because the risk is worth ensuring the new cards are meaningful additions to the game, but in those cases, we'll always make an earnest and responsible efforts to hit a mark we can hope can land and stick, and we're going to work on that harder. So the part I disagree with is that basically just, I'll say the intent behind the intent of this is that I think what they wrote here, I thought was fine. Look, you guys, it's transparency to me. Now, could you have worded it a little bit better? You could have worded it a little bit more political to not piss people off, sure. But I don't want that. People are going to get pissed off no matter what you write. So I'd rather see this and have everybody talk. This is the second dinner mentality. Talk, fix, adjust, be better. I'm like choking because I've been sick and stuff. So while yes, this could have been worded better, a little bit more political speak, etc., I don't want it. I liked exactly where it was because all of this stuff it got us to this point now where they've specifically said these things. They got to the point where they're going to do this. Don't apologize to me for making a mistake or a wording thing that ends up with a result like this. This is called growth. This is called adaptability. I don't want a company that goes through here and says, you know what, we can't say things or think like this because if we do, people might get mad or, you know, we got to hide it a little better. I don't want that. I don't want that. I got enough of that crap in the world. Like, just be real with me, be upfront. This is perfect. Okay. We all raged after that. All right. I don't know how many people quit, didn't quit, etc. But I think for the longevity of the game, this was a great statement. And maybe, yeah, you could have written it a little bit different, but the way you wrote it, the rage that ensued led to this, which is a good thing. I think it'll be better for second dinner. It'll be better for the future longevity of the game. And I'm down. I am 100% down. I love it. I love it. And now look, so I'm not going to go through all of these things like Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi, you know, She-Hulk. The things that you want to see here in all the OTAs that happened today is basically that second dinner / Glenn are adjusting the game so that it can have more flexibility. I love the fact that OTAs can now potentially have things like this changed with this Mobius thing, the new technology, embrace it. So the Glenn problem, the point of this video, right? It might come to surprise you that while some people think there's a problem, and yes, this was a problem, okay? For some, it created rage. I did a number of videos on this. This is not a problem, okay? Now, it's a problem. Let me say this differently. I look at it with any time I've had employees and I've talked to them. It's like, look, if I have to explain something to you how to do it once, that's you learning, you experiencing something. If I have to explain it again, hey, you've made this mistake 2 times. Like, slightly annoying, but it's like, okay, you know what? People are people and they're going to make mistakes. A 3rd time, it's like, what are we talking about here? Why am I continually having to do this? Now, if we start getting 4 or 5, all right, like I'm writing you up. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to bring you to a sit down meeting, say, these are the problems. I've said this to you. Let's get better. This is to me like, I guess like sort of a, hey, don't do this, sit down number 1 type thing. Have there been mistakes before? Yeah. Have there been problems before? Yeah. But this is like our first sort of like sit down and go, hey, we got to be better. Like this, let's talk about being better with this. Okay. This is our first serious sit down. We've had some general conversations and you're the one who admitted that you made some mistakes here. Now I had to be upset about a couple things for you to do it, but you did it. And I'm not saying Glenn, I'm not talking to Glenn per se, but Glenn and this team, if Glenn is a problem, I want that problem. I firmly believe Glenn cares more about the balance of this game than people give him credit for. I think the pressure and responsibility on Glenn, on Ben, and the entire team to make money for a game, to make a game that I think at the heart, when they go home at night and talk to their partners or friends, I guarantee you they want to, yes, they want to make a bunch of money because you do too. And guess what? I do too. And so does everybody else watching this and thinking about this. Nobody watching this and they're going, you know what? I don't want to make more money. Pay me less for something. It just doesn't exist. Get out of here. Now, at some point, if I had enough money, would I use that to help other people? Yes, I would. Absolutely. It's a dream of mine at one point. I'll probably die before that happens, but I can still dream and try to instill those responsibilities and principles in my children. But Glenn, Ben, I think they go home and say, yes, we want to make a game, but we want to make a game that people feel good about. We want to be prideful in the game that we make. And yes, we want to make money and we've got investors we got to keep happy. So they have to keep that balance. I want Glenn to please, Glenn, please, you probably will never see this, but keep doing what you're doing. If this happens again, own it the exact same way. Okay? Tell us, again, you know what, we made a mistake again, and this was what happened this time. Because there will be a new scenario where new factors come into play that something might happen. But again, this needs to be here. Own your shit. Okay? Tell us what you did wrong and how to fix it. And you did it, or at least are taking steps to try to improve it. Now, if these steps don't work, let's address again. Okay? And let's, meaning you guys, but we're part of that community, right? So I love this. Is there a Glenn problem? No, I love it. People don't want to hear from him. I do. I constantly do. And if you contradict something that somebody else says, then they can clean house and say, hey, look, we were on a different page. I was wrong. This person was right, etc. Clean up your shit and move on. Okay. So this is a super soapboxy video. You're going to get some more of these. I hope it's okay. The YouTube channel and my time to be able to do edits and stuff like that is not as much as it used to be. So I apologize for that, but hopefully we can still connect. That's really my end goal in all this anyway, is to try to connect with y'all, make videos that you find either entertaining, informative, or just something we can have a dialogue on, either here on YouTube, comment below, help the algorithm, all that, or if you want to come to the Discord, which is linked in the description below. So I appreciate you making this far in the video. If you want to hammer down that like button on your way out, appreciate it. Until next time, hope you have a wonderful day.